Hi, welcome. We're here today speaking with Steve Morgan, the CEO of American Clean Energy. Hello, Steve.
How you doing, George?
Very good, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
Nice to be with you.
Got some questions for you about the solar industry and utility industry and how these things fit together. So, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. Let's start with kind of an easy one. What is American Clean Energy?
American Clean Energy is a solar developer based in New Jersey and really focused on the commercial industrial market in New Jersey.
Okay, great. Can you tell me why have you guys decided to focus on commercial and industrial?
Yeah, George, I was in the traditional energy business for about 3 decades, and it was clear to me, based on my experiences there, that the biggest problem facing most of the utilities across the country is demand growth. Uh, that demand is typically a summer peaking demand. It's caused largely by air conditioning load.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of solar is that the solar generation typically occurs at the peak time of the heaviest load day. So um, while solar is not a perfect overlay to the demand, it's a pretty close one, and it solves the problem in a way that really is elegant, simple. The technology, remember, the technology is well proved. It's been around for 50 years.
Right.
And the solution sits on top of the host, large commercial customers who have large lighting and air conditioning loads at that time of year. So that's why I believe solar is the right solution. Distributed generation across the utility grid solves the problem in a way that really is simple and elegant.
So it's solving a problem for the customer as well as solving a problem for the utility company.
It really solves the problem for all consumers, because remember, who pays for utility investments in infrastructure to serve that demand? All consumers pay for it. Cost gets socialized. That's really how it works across this nation. And by solving this problem this way, we avoid eventually having to make large investments and capital investments on the part of utilities to solve this problem. Remember, if a utility has to build capacity to serve that peak demand, that demand might only last for 100 hours a year. That means that investment is largely loafing and not being used most of the year.
Well, I know as a businessman, I hate loafing, and anything that, in my opinion, anything that the state can do to eliminate unnecessary costs has got to help everybody, right?
And it doesn't translate into immediate savings for all consumers, but it is a solution that really does benefit consumers. And really, that is at the heart of what New Jersey has done in terms of its policy decisions over the last decade, to create both a renewable portfolio standard as well as to create the solar renewable energy certificate market, to really bring these concepts together, because ultimately all the consumers in New Jersey are the ones who are the beneficiaries of that.
As somebody out in the audience that might want to learn more about those things, is there a place that they can go to find out some
Sure.
more information?
Yeah, they can get all that historical information and current information from the Board of Public Utilities website and from the Office of Clean Energy. So all that's readily available.
Wonderful. Okay, so what would this cost? I've heard from some people, they believe that this is hugely expensive, that it'll cost them a fortune. What are the options out there? Is it expensive?
So yes, all alternative technologies are expensive when you look at just their first cost. If you look at it on a levelized cost of energy over the life of the project, really the levelized cost of energy today is really comparable to traditional energy prices today.
I'm sorry, Steve, what's levelized cost of energy
So,
mean?
so if I look at the total capital cost that it takes to build a solar distributed generation array, and I spread the cost of that over all of the energy produced over its life, it's already competitive with traditional energy on a cents per kilowatt hour basis. And that picture only gets better over time,
Right.
because traditional energy prices, we know, are going to continue to go up. Over the last decade, since the state of New Jersey deregulated the energy marketplace, the compound annual growth rate over that decade for energy has been over 6% compound annual growth rate. If you look at what happened prior to the recession, the energy price was increasing at double-digit increases each year. 10%, 12%, 13%. And then, of course, we had the recession. So as a result of the recession, prices had stabilized, actually fallen a little bit in the energy marketplace. But I predict once we recover from that recession, those prices are going to continue to go up.
All right, so you're telling me that it is expensive, but when you factor in what it's doing over the cost of time, it's essentially something that's very attractive. So the question, I guess,
Well,
that
so
many
before you go on, though, but let's talk about this a little bit, because if you look at the various incentives that are available to help defray the cost and the various financing mechanisms out there, what you find is that it's not necessarily as expensive as you thought. So, for example,
so what kind of options would a consumer have?
so if you're a commercial customer and you want to install your own array, you certainly can do it. Take your own capital and deploy it, and you hire a company to develop it for you. You get a 30% federal investment tax credit, which right now is a cash grant, and that expires at the end of this year, but it's called a 1603 cash grant. You also get accelerated depreciation treatment, and right now, as a result of the stimulus program, that's a bonus depreciation, so you can depreciate 100% of it. So if you have a tax appetite, if you're a company with a tax appetite, that means you're making money. You get the benefit of the tax credit and the accelerated depreciation. That directly reduces the cost of that array. If you don't have a tax appetite, you're not left stranded. You've got companies like American Clean Energy who can provide you what's known as a power purchase agreement, where we front the capital, we install and own and operate the array for your benefit for a 20-year term of the contract. You get the benefit of cheaper energy, and the benefit here is that you don't have to deploy any of your capital. You can keep it working in your core business. And we take all of that solar renewable energy certificate management process. We do all the operation and maintenance of the array, all of that. So we've taken the complexity out of it, we've simplified it, and we can really deploy it for any customer who's interested.
Very, very cool. So if I have the interest, the desire, the tax appetite, do I need to take money out of my pocket, or can I do a no money down situation?
Actually, we're just rolling out a new product right now. It's called the Solar Tracking Tree. And the benefit of the Solar Tracking Tree is for the smaller commercial customers who might not have qualified because of the size of their energy consumption. We can actually deploy the Solar Tracking Trees in what I call solar in a box with financing in a box. It's a solar array on a single structure, provides shading in your car parking lot, provides solar energy production, and it comes with a lease that in most cases is paid for by the energy savings that are produced. So again, the idea is to make it modular, streamline it, make it simple, and make it cost effective for the customer today, not tomorrow.
There's a lot of people talking about charging stations and electric vehicles. Is there anything like that also kind of associated with the solution?
Absolutely. Our solar tracking tree comes with already pre-wired for solar for electric vehicle charging stations. They're an add-on option that can be provided, and another source of revenue potentially for the host.
Awesome. Well, listen, I know your time is short. I thank you for joining us today, and it's a pleasure spending time with you.
My pleasure.